Here in Northern California, in the Bay Area, we often take for granted the March for Social Justice. Here, when we talk about the gay community, we mean the entire LGBT community, including the transgender community. Things sometimes are more challenging and more difficult, sometimes very nearby, including south of the border. With us today is photographer and author Kike Arnal, author and photographer of the book Bordered Lives, Transgender Portraits of Mexico. Kike, welcome.
Thanks for the invitation.
You're very welcome. Now, originally you are from Venezuela. How long have you been here in the Bay Area?
I moved to the Bay Area about 6 years ago, but I've been in the state for about 15, 16 years almost.
Right. And where did the inspiration for this book come?
You know, I was hired to photograph an interfaith event in LA for the LGBT movement, and I had this amazing opportunity to meet some fascinating people, you know, and a few of them were transgender people, and I realized that some of the people that I met wanted to tell their stories. They were really compelling stories of how difficult the transition was, and how I think a lot of them wanted to let others know how important is for others to understand what you have to go through.
Right.
You know?
Now, of course, you know, South America is richer and more diverse, I should say, not diverser, than North America. I mean, there are over a dozen countries. There's English spoken, there's Spanish spoken, there's Portuguese spoken. Right across the border, though, one thing that becomes apparent is South America is, in general, very Catholic. Did you find for some of these individuals that you profiled in your book that it was difficult for them, not only as members of the transgender community, but as people raised within a Catholic culture, to be out as members of the transgender community?
Absolutely. I think the church and the Catholic culture has a deep impact in the life of everybody, not only for the transgender people. Any person, not even LGBT people, just anyone is really shaped by the culture, by the Catholic culture. And I think it becomes even more difficult for people in South America and in Central America and in Mexico to take the steps to come out of the closet, just to be open about their sexual Identity, yeah.
You know, I remember when I came out as a gay man, it was difficult, but after I came out, I looked the same, and I spoke the same, and I sounded the same, and I appeared the same. When you come out as a member of the transgender community, you're coming out twice. You're coming out to yourself, and you're coming out to the community at large. Yeah. You said that some of these people featured in the book really wanted to tell their stories. Were there other people that you actually wanted to chronicle that said, I can't tell the story?
Definitely. There were people that, for different reasons, couldn't do it. You know, relatives, they don't want them to know, or because they felt threatened. A few people decided, no, you know, I have a double life, you know, I'm a straight person at home, I'm married, I have children, my family doesn't know that I'm a transvestite, you know, I have plans of becoming a transgender, which means to intervene their bodies, you know, and therefore these people didn't want to be, I mean, they liked the idea, but they couldn't do it because they were so afraid of being exposed, you know. So it's interesting, there are different situations, and everybody has a different story, so some of them really wanted to keep it hidden.
How many of the people that are featured in the book have actually seen it now?
Most of them. I went to Mexico a couple of months ago, no, a month ago, and I brought copies for most of them. Maybe one person hasn't received her copy yet, but yeah, the book is on their hands.
And what was the reaction in general?
Well, for the ones that I met in person, I gave the book in person, they were very happy. You know, it's the people that I photographed, not all of them, but the majority are activists. So they feel very.
So they see this as part of their activism.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, they think that this was important to talk about their lives, so people understand what it's like to be a transgender person, and they were very happy with the result, with the book, and some pictures, maybe some of them they say, well, I don't like the way I look on this photograph, you know, but in general they were happy, and they are pleased with the idea of being part of the book, part of the project.
What did you learn about yourself from this project?
This is a great question. You know, growing up in Caracas, as a teenager, I used to go with friends, kids, just to tease transgender people in the streets, you know, and even back then, I felt like, well, this is not right. I mean, why am I doing this? Most of these people were social workers, you know, because it was in the time when there were very little options for transgender people. So to work on this project so close in a very intimate way with them and spend a lot of time with them helped me to not only to understand about myself, but to understand about my whole background, my society, you know, Latin Americans, how we feel, how we think, what we think about the sexual freedom, liberties, you know, and it was very revealing. I mean, it was a great process. It was also sometimes a challenge to realize all these prejudices that we carry on in our lives.
Without even realizing we have them.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to be a member of the transgender community in Mexico right now, from the people you spoke with and with whom you photographed?
Well, this changes depending on where you are. I mean, depending on the family you come from, depending on your social status, depending on the city where you live. Mexico is a big country. It's 110 million people country. Mexico City, where I worked, is a huge mega city, right? It's 20 million people. There's a great legislation in Mexico City for the LGBT movement, you know, that doesn't apply to the rest of the country.
Right, it's just this island of progressivism.
It's just exactly in Mexico City. So if you happen to be in Mexico and you are a transgender person, I guess you are very protected by laws. You have access to the health system, to drugs, to you know, to medication. You know, but if you are out of Mexico City, if you are in Querétaro or in a small city in the south, the situation is very different. So there are different realities, and I think that the activists and the organizations are working very hard to establish in the whole country what is being achieved in Mexico City. But it's still a long ways before they can do it, you know.
Right. And we have just a few seconds left. What is the message you'd like for people to take away from this book when they see it?
Well, maybe my main message is that we are all the same. We are all the same.
Great.
And we should accept everybody.
Great. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with photographer and author Kike Arnal about his book, Border Lives, Transgender Portraits of Mexico. I'm David Perry. Thanks for tuning in to Watch 10%. We'll see you next week.